Hello, in today's tutorial I want to show you how to customize Metahumans using MetaReForge. We have designed the add-ons interface to be as clear and structured as possible. All features are organized into blocks within the end panel under MRF category. The majority of these features are accessible in object mode, while additional utilities for armature editing become available in armature edit mode. First, we need to prepare the files for editing. You will need the head.fbx file. Go to Metahumans, your Metahuman name, face. But before we export FBX file, we need to fix materials. Here we have the same material instance used in the second slot and in the seventh slot. We need to replace at least one of them, so I go to the location, duplicate it, and assign to the slot. So now all material instances in all material slots are unique. It is important for proper export. Now we can go to our Metahuman again, go to Face, and right-click, Asset Actions, Export, select the folder, and hit Save. Default settings are OK, hit Export. Do the same with the body. Go to your Metahuman folder, male or female, Metahuman height, Metahuman weight, body folder, and we need to export this file. Asset Actions, Export. So defaults are good. Click Export. Let's get DNA file. Quixel bridge. Make sure you're logged in. Metahumans, my Metahumans. This one. Here we can go to files. Here, asset, Metahumans, name, source asset. This file we need, so copy. I want to keep all files together, so I will copy to the same location here. Also, we need to fix at least the head FBX with Autodesk FBX Converter, FBX Converter Archives, Windows, FBX 2013.3 converter for Windows 64-bit. I have it installed, so I just run it. Drag and drop files here and hit convert. The converted files will appear in folder FBX 2013. Now let's go to Blender, clear the scene, open End Panel, MRF, click here to set scene units compatible with Unreal Engine, set path to head FBX, to body FBX. If you want to edit one mesh only, you can disable head or disable body, but I will show you both. We can switch between LODs here, but it is not easy to edit at the moment because we have two meshes. So in our add-on, we generate one mesh and one armature for editing, and at the end we transfer the changes from the edit objects to the initial objects. So go to Edit Shape and hit Initialize. You can configure well distance, but usually default is OK. Now we have one mesh to edit and one armature. We still can switch between LODs, but now there is also an edit shape option at the top. It's time for the creative work. Modify the mesh as much as your imagination allows, but remember, you cannot change the topology and vertex indexing. You can even export this and edit in another application, but keep topology. I'll give you another valuable advice regarding the eyeballs. They are quite spherical, obviously, and they should be spherical at the end. So try not to deform them. Keep initial shape. You can change size, you can change location, but keep initial shape. I select eyeballs and click H to hide them. This way we lock their vertices. Now let's switch to sculpt mode and have some fun. So now let's check our eyeballs. Go to edit mode, unhide everything, Alt H, and our eyeballs do not match with the face. So we need to move them and maybe scale them also. I select it with L. Try to place it somewhere in the center. Now we need to fix a bit the outer shell because we have intersection here. We need to fix this shell, and I use proportional editing, but it is important to tick connected only to avoid eyeball deformation. So select vertices and we can move them a bit. As soon as mesh is ready, we need to fit bones to the mesh. So we need to choose the final armature, edit mode, and on the panel we see a bunch of buttons. I know you would like there to be only one magic button that gives excellent result 100% of the time. However, in case of unforeseen circumstances, or if you want to apply this functionality to non-metahumans, I've left the possibility to gain more control. Let's go through functionality from top to bottom. Here we transfer bones using surface deform modifier. It works well for bones that initially close to the surface but is not accurate enough for bones deep inside the mesh. First, we need to initialize proxy. It initialized immediately for all bones. Then select required bones and click Fit Selected. The next option is Mesh Deform. On the contrary, it works well for bones that are deep inside the mesh, but if a bone even slightly beyond the mesh, or there are gaps or holes in the geometry, it may not work at all. The same here. First, we need to initialize proxy, as Blender does not allow such modifiers to be applied directly to armature. And we can fit selected bones. Precision should be chosen before initialization, and it's recommended to have 4 or 5. At higher values, initialization may take too much. Perhaps in future updates I will speed up the process a bit. The next algorithm is my own algorithm, specifically made for lips. Since there is some collision of polygons on the lips, Simple Surface Deform sometimes does not understand which lip to attach to, the upper or lower, so I try to take into account bone weights. This method is not recommended for other bones except some of the lid bones. This operator is designed specifically for eyes. Here we select the material assigned to the eyeball vertices, and the algorithm will find the geometric center and place the bones there. Only the position of the bones changes, their orientation in space doesn't change. And the cherry on top, the automatic method. I've assigned a preferred method for each bone of the Metahuman, so you can just press it and wait a bit. If proxy initialization has not yet been done, this can take quite a long time, as proxies will be initialized in the process. Next, if we look at our LODs, we will see that they have not yet changed. In object mode, go to Update Original section and hit Synchronize. Check the result. Next, if you see a seam at the connection of the head to the body or on the UV seams, you need to recompute split normals. The seams are best seen if you turn off the outline. Here. In this case, I have not changed the mesh here too much, so there is no seam, but I will add more deformation in this area. I will go back to the edit shape. And hit synchronize again. And now, here, we see sharp transition. Click Recompute Split Normals. Wait a bit. And it is fixed for all LODs. As you see, all LODs has now sharp transitions. So final steps, FBX export. Here everything is extremely simple. We need to set output folder only. And hit export FBX. Now we have a folder with all LODs separately. Here's all LODs. Let's try to load them into Unreal Engine. Let's start with body. I'm going to duplicate it. To be able to reimport, we need to set path. Here, import settings, file path, and set path to the lowest LOD. Here's. And hit reimport base mesh. Done. Do the same with the higher LODs. Go to load picker. And here we have reimport option. Now let's do the same for the face, but it will be a bit more difficult. Go to content, face, also duplicate the mesh. We also need to set path. So here at the end, source path, and select the lowest LOD FBX. And also we need to set transforms, all zeros except the scale. And click reimport. Now we need to assign materials. We need to select the same here because we haven't changed the order. So select the same as in the left column. Ta-da! It is why we actually need DNA, because this animation blueprint, face, post-process, and MBP use neutral joint positions and rotations from DNA file, not the rest pose of the skeleton. If I disable this blueprint, everything seems to be fine. But with this blueprint, no comments. So go back to Blender, and we need to update DNA. In this section, we need to set path to the original DNA file. Here, DNA file, and hit armature to DNA. Output folder here and here is the same folder, so we don't need to specify it twice. As you see, it's writing a file in the output folder. So here we have the updated DNA file. Now we need to open content and just drag and drop it somewhere and select the mesh, the skeletal mesh for the DNA file. This is my duplicated mesh. And hit import. To see changes, you need to disable and enable the blueprint, and now everything seems to be all right. I can even start preview animation, and it looks good, but one moment. When it closes the eye, I see here problems with normals. We need to go to the LOD, the lowest LOD sections, and we need to assign recompute tangents to green. It is default setting for Metahuman. And also by default, the same thing should be here. Now we need to update the highest LODs. Let's select the first one and change mesh also. Reimport with new file, select the next file. We need to check material slots before. In this section should be material number 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can also see here the problem with normals, but if we will take a look at the initial Metahuman and preview animation, you will see here the same issue with the first LOD. So it is not a problem of the workflow. Now let's do the remaining LODs. Now we save our skeletal meshes. Now we need to replace the meshes in the blueprint. Go to body, replace skeletal mesh with the new one. Replace the face. Now we need to fix hair, so go to, for example, hair, and we need to fix binding. Open groom asset folder, create a new binding, find our skeletal mesh. We can also select source skeletal mesh as our initial mesh and hit create. Save and assign this binding here. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Subscribe the channel, join our Discord. Bye.
I am a metahuman, the next generation of digital human powered by Unreal Engine.